Hi, this is Wishop, and this is going to be a good old-fashioned tarot card reading for the Pisces full moon of September 14th. So the main thing I want to say, astrologically speaking, is that these big earth trines and sort of earth elements that bring things into being and manifestation are still at work. And I feel like they're still going to be at work through the end of September. So you have time to figure out what you want and to figure out your wishes. But a thing I wanted to talk about on that aspect with the Pisces full moon coming up, which can kind of surface your wishes and dreams, is that now is a great time because so much is being manifested. Look for something with a downhill run, if that makes sense. When you're looking at your options, because sometimes people have a very clear idea of what they want. I want to be a CEO of my own business in this area of industry doing XYZ. Great, that's awesome. A lot of people don't have dreams that are that clear, but it doesn't mean that they're directionless or not able to make progress. Frequently what you do is you look around at where you're standing, like if you think of yourself standing in like a muddy field and you have to try to hop from the dry grass to the dry grass on the other side, you're looking, well, where is a good foothold? Where is a good place to stand? Where's the next hop that I need to make? And you're surveying your options. This is a time like that, where even if you're not a person with that crystal clear intention that says, this is exactly what I want to do. And if you are that person who has that crystal clear intention, this is a great time to be pursuing that. Sometimes you do know, sometimes it's just like, a marquee in your mind and in your soul, where you're like, if I could have this one thing or transform my life in this one way, this would be it. This would be the kind of person I would want to be, the kind of life I'd want to live. But if you're not sure and you would like to know how to optimize things, how can you make tweaks in your life? How can you experience a transformation even if you're not quite sure exactly what you want? Maybe the things you want aren't even defined yet because maybe you're moving into a very new area, new for you, new for the people you know, new in the world. You're using a new technology, you're doing something that's kind of innovative, which means it's very hard to have a picture, a very crisp picture in your head of where you want to be. But you can look at where you're at, survey, and see the next good hop to make. And what I'm saying is that this time of year, and with this Pisces full moon illuminating things in a creative, dreamy way, it can actually dissolve obstacles and it can surface things that you didn't see before. So this is a great time to be looking around in this full moon energy, this dreamy, creative energy. Look around and see, is there a little rock or a little lily pad you could hop to from where you're at that looks interesting, or maybe that you didn't notice before? It might be, just to mix my metaphors horribly, it might be the first brick of a yellow brick road for you. So you don't have to look for something that's terribly difficult, because right now, with all of this earth energy, you should be feeling very capable of taking whatever the next step is that you need to take. So look for something that looks easy, that you go, oh, I could do that. Oh, and then I could do that. Oh, and then I could do that. My feeling is the progress is going to feel more like that. It's going to be from a step that feels reasonable to you. It's not going to feel like you have to break yourself in two to get there. You'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, look, I just noticed that. I can make that move. So it could be in your personal development. It could be in your home and finance, obviously, where we're looking at all this earth energy. We're looking at issues that can have to do with your health, your well-being, the way you spend your time, your daily schedule, your job, your money, things that you're trying to recover from. Virgo is very much a nursing sign, so it can be things that you're trying to recover from, you're trying to nurture yourself, kindnesses you're trying to give yourself, a certain softness that you're trying to introduce into a situation, or you're trying to get more practical with something. And again, it could be, health, diet, job, career, money. It could be issues of security, physical security, or you decide you want to redo your insurance, or you're making changes in your home, all of that stuff. But with this Piscean energy as a part of it, and then all this earth energy, you want something that's appealing. It should be aesthetically appealing to you. It should be artistically appealing to you. It really should speak to your heart in some way, not just your practicality. There should be this sense of like rightness and grace about it. So anyway, we're going to do as I said, a good old-fashioned tarot card reading. It's going to be 5 cards. We're going to use the Zirkus Magi deck by Doug Thornsjoe. This is a deck I've had for a while and I've used in readings, and this is one of my older reading cloths. This is from Japan, actually, and it's got the Inari foxes. It came from a stall outside the Inari shrine where all of these demon gates are. So Inari, the grain goddess, has to do with plenty, but she also has to do with luck. And her white foxes are indicative of, yes, they can be trickstery, there can be mischief and deception because they are smart and clever and they have their own agendas, but they are also incredibly wise. And so if you treat them well, they will tend to treat you well. So this is the idea that we're going to use our cleverness, we're going to use our opportunism, we're going to use our resourcefulness, like the grain goddess, to have plenty, to navigate our way through obstacles, and also to see ways out of obstacles, to dissolve them in ways that we hadn't before. So anyway, sorry for all the yammering, but there you go. Once I get these flipped, we'll be able to see what they all are. So this is the central issue, and I don't know what it's going to be. Courage, 9 of batons. Okay, this is a great one. So in the Zirkus Magi deck, would be the 9 of wands. And so frequently it's a card of persistence, like getting through something. The 9 usually means you're near the end of a cycle, but you have that bit to break through. And often it can mean that you need, this character can look a little wounded, a little banged up, or worse for wear, but they're holding fast, they're holding firm. So there can be a need to set boundaries with this card and to take heart over something that you're interested in. So in this case, it could be that the leap you need to make, even if it's a downhill leap, does require some form of courage. Or it might be that you're feeling a sense of courage that you hadn't felt about it before. You've considered this idea in the past, and the timing wasn't right and you were nervous about it for whatever reason, and now you're feeling like, I think I can do it. I might just be able to do it. And this is really the need to kind of follow through with something at the moment that this character is sort of at the barricades, or in this case by the pillars that hold up the trapeze. He's alone. But once he gets up to the high wire or up to the trapeze, he's not going to be alone. He's going to be the star. But it takes courage to put yourself into the limelight. It takes courage to put yourself forward, perhaps in a way that you haven't done it before. So this is very much the idea that there is something you can do, you are trained to do, you know how to do. Maybe the only thing holding you back is a little bit of courage because it's related to what other people might think, or related to following through on a promise or a commitment that you made to yourself. So let's look more at the state of the inner self. I love it. I always love it when this shows up. Okay, this is the leading lady, the Empress. So this is the Venus-related card. You can see the roses in the background. She is abundance itself. So underneath you, right? Think of her as backing you up. Think of if you were getting up to perform and you had some amazing performer in the stands cheering you on, getting people on your side. Like imagine what that would do for you to have this person stirring up the crowd and saying, look how wonderful this is. Look how amazing this is. In a sense, because this is tied to Venus, Venus is very important right now in all of this earth activity. You have the universe, in a sense, cheering you on. It's ready to start the ovation on your behalf. Once you can take the first step, you will not find yourself alone. You will find yourself being cheered on by admirable people and by amazing forces. So this is sort of that same idea that I've been seeing all over the place. Support is waiting for you to take the first step. You know, it's like parents standing by as you get ready to ride the bike. They can't ride it for you, but as soon as you get that first couple seconds on your own without the training wheels, they are going to be like shrieking and cheering you on because all they want to do is see you do well. So this is kind of the idea. The leading lady has been through it all. She has star power. She would like to lend it to you. So maybe there is even someone in your life who has made this jump that you're trying to make, and they want to lend you some of their support, some of their star power. Now is a great time to say that whoever this person or this force is, they've already triumphed. They already know how to do what you're trying to do. They're already abundant in this area where you're trying to be abundant. And they would not set you up to fail or set themselves up to look like a fool who didn't know better. You know, Venus and the forces of Earth, they know what is great. They know what is abundant. They know what is beautiful. So if they're telling you that you've got it, try to have some confidence that you really do have it, because you're not being set up to fail. So this is what's really underlying you, and it's very important because she's a major arcana. Here's what you're doing, and then let's go into the situation above, which is probably kind of what's on your mind. Okay, all right, here we go. So this is the Ring Rider, which would be the Knight of Pentacles, but it's in reverse. So in this case, we've got the Ring Rider, and here's, you know, sort of the zodiac behind it. And there's a sense always with the Knight of Pentacles of the turning of the seasons, of things which are reliable, of things which have run on a schedule. And so in this sense, I would say maybe what's on your mind is you're thinking, I haven't done this before, or you're thinking, I haven't gone through all the steps that I thought I was going to go through. You know, perhaps you've been waiting because you told yourself, I have to do this and this and this and this and this before I can tackle this dream. You know, so sometimes people, for example, this would just be a simple example, but you want to lose weight and you go, well, I can't do that until I join a gym, or I can't do that until I can get a food plan, or I can't do that until. And in this case, you're being urged to press on, and that circumstances will come to your aid when you're bold enough to take action. And that even though maybe you haven't done all the reliable, sensible things, this is kind of a funny message because the Ring Rider would be tied to the earth things, but it's saying, you know, even though you haven't, you know, maybe dotted every I and crossed every T, you've done enough. You've set the table. You're ready. You're ready to go for it. You've done enough. You don't have to keep delaying yourself to convince yourself that you're practical and reliable and prudent. Sometimes, because especially if you're making big changes that are really transformative in your life, in your career, in your relationships, there are always people for whom this is new. You haven't told them about everything on your mind. They're not aware of it yet. So for them, it's new information. And the first thought they have is what you're going to lose. and maybe talking you out of it or telling you to take your time, because it hasn't been 6 months of thought and worry and planning for them. They're just learning about it now. So they don't have any idea of how much of a road you have paved for yourself already. They don't have an idea that you're already at the 9 of batons. This is not at the 2 of batons at the decision point. You're at the 9. So sometimes when we tell people about stuff and we're already at the 9, but for them, they're just hearing about it like a 2, like, wait, you've decided you're going to go back to school. You've decided you're going to take a job in another town. You've decided you're going to start your own business or, make some other big change, or, you've decided you want to learn opera or whatever it is. It really doesn't matter. If you're sharing it with someone and it's new to them, they can be saying, but you're not being prudent, you're not being wise, you're not being reliable, because they don't know how much you've already done or set up or put in place for yourself. The leading lady knows. She knows. This is the person or the sort of force of the universe you can depend on. This is the ultimate grain goddess. This is the figure of abundance. So Demeter or Cybele or Venus, Aphrodite, who else? Lakshmi. Like, these are the figures who say, oh, I know what you're going for. Hera, Juno. I see what you're doing here and I support you. Go for it. I'm behind you all the way. You're worried that you're not going to seem logical and wise and prudent. Don't worry, because you've been planning this for a while, at least in your mind, and you're ready to take a step in that direction. So let's look here at events. This is kind of like events in your past, events in your future. This is more like the inner landscape, what is supporting you, what's on your mind, that kind of an idea. Okay. Okay. All right. So we end up with 2 more major arcana cards, and they are both in reverse. So here is the Devil in reverse. And in this deck, you can see him tied to these little people with a 16-ton weight. And so here, this is something obviously holding you down. This is something bigger than you are, holding you fast. It's not holding you fast anymore. So it could be that you have released yourself from a devil, and that's part of the work you've done to get to the 9. You've had to release yourself from previous thoughts or previous concerns, and that in doing that, that is sort of how you got a little bit banged up. You've been going through a process to release yourself from something in the past, some event that made you lack confidence in yourself, some person who was dragging you down, some self-concept that you had that was limiting, and you're releasing yourself from that, and that's what's made this whole next leap possible. And what's interesting about getting Mr. Bones, who is the Death card, in reverse, and so here we have the skeleton and the clown, and they're dancing in the image of time and some ghosts in the background. When you get Mr. Bones in reverse, what it's saying to me is the next step you're going to take, as soon as you take it, you're going to realize it was the next natural thing. It's not even going to feel like night and day. It's going to feel like, oh, that wasn't even that big a jump. That wasn't even like going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. In some way, you have already done the most important transformative work to get here. Now all you have to do is jump into, perhaps it's an idea of making it public. I still have the idea of getting up on the tightrope in front of an audience, the leading lady, but the transformation has already happened. You're not even going to feel it as that extreme an issue. And what is very good about that is when you're making a change that's really significant, but you are comforted with yourself, you're at peace, you're centered. When you announce it to other people, they have a tendency, as funny as this is, I'm sure you've had it happen in the past, they have a tendency to go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Some of the biggest revelations, I remember a good friend of mine made a very personal revelation to me. And at the time, all I could say was, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I get that. All right, great. Good for you. And the person was like, there's not more? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. That makes absolute sense for who you are and where you've been and how you want to live. Nope, that makes total sense to me. So this could actually be kind of a funny thing, that when you finally pull the ripcord on this and you make it public and you make that step that you've been a little intimidated to make, maybe the response is going to be like, yeah, okay, shoulder shrug. All right, because it's going to feel so natural, because you've been leading up to this more than you perhaps think you have, because you've been changing on the inside. Maybe you haven't been telling everybody about it, but you've been changing on the inside, which means that your world, the people around you, the environments you're in, have been subtly adapting to you. They've been changing in response to your changes. We talk about how our lives and our relationships are mirrors of ourselves. So you've already sort of changed flocks, if you will. You're now a bird of a different color, of a different plumage. You're doing something different. And at the time that you make this announcement, which the leading lady is backing you up because it's in your best interests, in the interest of your abundance and also your personal expression. It's going to be a great personal expression. When you come out with this, probably the reaction is going to be shoulder shrugs, like, oh yeah, okay, that's good. So if that's what's intimidating you, don't be. Because just like I was talking, this shouldn't feel like an uphill climb. I think look for a downhill slalom, and I think you're going to enjoy it. And you might be surprised at how natural it feels once you're on it. Once you're on that downhill slalom, it's going to feel great. So until next time, rock on with your bad selves.